Thank you. Yes. And for our invited guest, last but not the least, is pharmacist Eric Osei, Managing Director of Sysmex West and Central Africa, and also President of the MedTech Chamber Africa. Now we'll move to our in-house panelists, the provost of our colleges. And I start with Professor Christian Ejari, Provost of College of Health Sciences. Sitting next to him will be Professor Mark Adum Asamoah, Provost of COE, College of Engineering. Next is Professor Ben Bamfo, Provost of College of Agric and Natural Resources. And then next to him is Professor John Tiabugri, Provost of College of Art and Built Environment. Next is Professor Charles Mafu, Provost of Humanities and Social Sciences. And then last but not the least is Professor Leonard Amekuji, Provost of College of Sciences. We are also inviting on stage the Provost of the College for the Institute of Distance Learning, IDL. So, powerful lady and gentlemen, welcome to our panel discussion for the evening. So, as indicated, this is a very powerful panel, so we'll have to have a strategy around how the conversation will hold to a meaningful end. So here's what we'll do. We'll start by getting the impressions and thoughts of our invited guests, whilst our provost soak in all the ideas that are coming. And then we'll hear from our provost what are some of the intriguing ideas that they believe they can take forward. And then we'll explore what are the exact next steps that we are going to take so that we can move our dear KNUST forward. Is that a good idea? Great. Good. So, as indicated, we'll start with our powerful lady, Patricia. This morning was a very interesting one. We all witnessed the exhibition. Would you kindly share your impressions of the exhibition? And as you went through the exhibitions, what are your own thoughts in terms of the impact that KNUST has had in your industry?
Thank you, Dr. Herman, and good evening, Vice Chancellor. Good evening, fellow panelists. So it really brought back great memories because I'm a product of this school, and I remember so well as part of the Electrical Engineering Students Association, the projects that we did with the KNUST Hospital, where we used to make alarms for the beds and other different projects. I also remembered my final year project where I had to build a radio transistor. I came through the College of Engineering, a radio transistor, and at that time in the 90s, it was supposed to convert the audio to text. And today is common. I mean, now at that time, I thought I was doing something so crazy, and now it's so common. And as I walked around, two things struck me. And that's the fact that you could get a sense of technology. I mean, for College of Engineering, it's a given. But however, when you move through the others, you could see that whether it was in arts or in the health sciences or in science, everybody had a bit of technology coming through the way the innovation was being done. And my second observation was the fact that people were solving problems, regular problems. So one of the things I learned in our way of doing innovation in our workplace is not always to create something that has never existed, but sometimes you can take just what exists and make it better, and it can be a fantastic innovation. I saw the work that was done with everybody talks about Internet of Things, and we are monitoring things in our homes. And it's always been the use of data. This is something that we do in our organization, but we use data, and today I saw them using SMS to get it done. So they've seen the problem, and I listened to the gentleman say, it's easy to do with data, but people don't have access to data or they can't afford it. And so we have chosen to use SMS, which means they have identified the problem and they have solved it. So for me, it's impressive. On your second question on how KNUST has impacted my industry, okay, that's the first living testimony of how KNUST has impacted the industry. But for me, a lot of the development that we do in Vodafone is internal. There's very few that we outsource. A lot of the intellectual property, the planning, network design, all are developing. Most of the work is done by our engineers, and 80% of those engineers came from KNUST. So you can tell directly, wow. and it runs through all. I've worked in 2 telcos, and it runs through the same. You will find KNUST. And even for the work that we have outsourced, maybe to a Huawei or to other vendors, you go for meetings and you will not leave without meeting a schoolmate, a colleague sitting at the table. So the impact is direct.
I think that deserves a round of applause for KNUST, doesn't it? Thank you very much for sharing your impacts, your impressions. Could we take the thoughts from Mr. Eric Osei as well?
Hello. Yes. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. I've attended a lot of industry exhibitions and expos in Africa, but this is my first time of attending an exhibition of a university where you feel that these are people who are trying to do something for industry. So thank you very much, Madam Vice Chancellor. Thank you very much to the students for the efforts that you have put into this, and we really recognize what you have done. What was thrilling for me, coming from the medtech industry, was to see from the College of Health Sciences that we have lateral flow products for things like malaria, COVID-19. These are huge diseases that affect us. And if we can produce these locally, this will go a long way to improve our healthcare system. In terms of the medtech industry, we mainly cover medical devices, in vitro diagnostics, and digital health softwares. Generally, most of the products come from collaboration between academia and industry. And we also have a network of support which comes from the legal requirements on patents. We have things like the regulators in terms of registration. We have the commercial, small to medium scale enterprises who are all involved. And we rely a lot on KNUST products such as biomedical engineers, pharmacists, doctors. All these groups of people are very important to the medtech industry. And when we also hire them, we acknowledge that the university will train you to a point, but for new technologies, we have local and international trainings to bring them to the level that they can manage the best technology anywhere in the world, not in Africa alone. So thank you very much once again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ricochet, for that submission. Shall we hear the impressions of Mr. Daniel Akwe?
Thank you very much. Very exciting to see the display of things here. My relationship with the university post-school dates back to 1997, 1998, when I was then seriously involved in medicinal plants and commercialization of natural plant products. And I remember when KNUST-TEK and USAID, plus my organization, engaged the Faculty of Agric to do ethnobotanical studies of some selected medicinal plants in Ghana. And through these collaborations and development, within a period of 4 years, the export of medicinal plants from Ghana increased from $3.5 million to $25 million. And it was also due to the contribution and the expertise that we got from the university. I also remember a time where we wanted to commercialize indigenous spices and herbal teas in Ghana. And we're working closely with the Food Science Department, and Professor Ellis was one of the partners involved in that project. That was the early 2000s. We also took it to US trade shows, and some firms were able to commercialize the innovative ideas that we started. The sobolo that is scattered all over the country is something we started about 18 years ago, right with the university here. And we even had some of the professors, Professor Kwanzaa, going to Senegal to do quality assessment and putting all those things in place. We've had Professor Akroma also going to Liberia to support them with commercialization of natural plant products, to the extent that for the first time in the life of the country, Liberia, they were able to export 1 container of medicinal plants from Liberia to Spain. And that was also a contribution of the university. Then came an international product called Artemisia, which was meant for artesunate. And the worldwide publication was that Artemisia will only do well on highlands. So they were looking for mountains in Kenya and the rest to commercialize Artemisia annua. And I brought live plants of Artemisia from Rutgers University in the US, flew them to Ghana, transported them to KNUST. And through that, Professor Akroma used the tissue culture to multiply. And we're able to produce Artemisia in low-lying areas, multi-locational trials in the country. And interestingly, the yields that we got from Artemisia annua in the low-lying areas were higher than the highlands in Kenya, Uganda, and the rest, which had become so popular. And this was all over in the news in Ghana, and they interviewed professors from KNUST on Artemisia annua. Then Faculty of Pharmacy, I worked with bioresources, and those times HPLC was a very expensive laboratory equipment to have, and were able to get HPLC from Rutgers University to the Faculty of Pharmacy with Professor Dustraku and Mensa. So, and we have done a lot collaborating with the Faculty of Agric nationwide, and that has made a lot of impact. The only thing is that the university is unable to track some of these impact and successes and put them also in their publications. And this is something that we need to document for other people to also come and read and know the impact that the university has made on certain industries. Coming to this exhibition, I traveled one time to the US with my wife, who also did Agric at KNUST. And we went for exhibition like this. And she went around with Professor Kwanzaa whilst I was being busy manning a booth. We came back and she said, well, she's going into cosmetics. I'm like, so what's the link between agric and cosmetics? She said, no, I picked interest at the trade show. And today, she has one of the leading cosmetics businesses in the country, retailing Fasty Body and Hair Care. Those in Accra, they know Fasty Body and Hair Care. So we're going around, and she was nodding her head, looking at some of the products that can easily be commercialized into mainstream cosmetic ventures. I saw that technology in the past, we were talking about engineering. Anytime you mention technology, ICT engineering. But I'm seeing the application of technology in all other fields, including humanities, today. And whether you go to agric stand, the social science stand, wherever you go, you see technology. Globally and at the continental level, what we have realized from AU and NEPAD is that we are able to come up with technologies from our academic institutions and research institutions as well. The problem is the commercialization of these technologies and the modalities that we can use to promote and commercialize these technologies. I picked interest in the food science, and I have always told my office people that, look, if you are into food science, then you are in job forever. Because there's not a single day that you wake up and you will not think about food. Whether you are in the skies or on the ground. If you are in the sky, they will serve you food in the plane. Even when you cannot have access to internet, you will eat. So once you are in the food science industry, you are in job forever. I was so happy to see the display of food science. And I also saw the engineering where I looked through and the 3D pictures, and that was very amazing. Then they have drone that you can use to check pests on your farm, even whilst you are in your home. These are innovative ideas and innovations. What we have come up to meet today is that you cannot have technology only in a book, and you cannot have technology only in a lab. We, from the private sector point, we are looking for technologies that provide solutions. And we know that the universities also have technologies that provide the solutions. The problem is the matching of the two, and I'm glad that we are discussing this today. Impact on my firm, as you asked that question, then I realized that about 80% of the top management personnel in my firm are all KNUST products. When you ask that question, I just...
Wow.
They are all KNUST products. Now, off the record, not to be reported, I told my office people that anytime there is an opportunity and we are hiring, the first preference is KNUST. But I shouldn't be
That deserves a
reported.
good round of applause, yes? Good.
It's KNUST. And at a point in time, of all the people that we had in our firm, about 70% were KNUST products. Not because I was being biased to KNUST, but we were getting results from the outputs of KNUST students. The confidence levels were very high. Their commitments were also high, and they were ready to dirty their hands in the field and make sure that we get the needed results. So from our point, yes, we have made a lot of impact. Specifically, and my last point, because I've talked for a long time, is on greenhouse, which is a new thing that we are promoting in the country. We have about 12 different locations or clusters that we are doing greenhouse in the country. The largest being Dowenya. And it is very surprising to note that in terms of yields, in terms of income, in terms of productivity, the KNUST cluster is giving us far higher results than any of the clusters that we have in the country. And out of the 9 top performers of about 100 people who are involved in the project, out of the top 9, 7 are from the KNUST cluster that we have here. And that should also tell us that there's some level of commitment and people pay attention to details.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Danakwe. Can we kindly have your impressions also, His Excellency Edward Boateng?
Good evening.
Good evening.
And I think for me it's a privilege and also an honor to be here to sit in front of the Vice Chancellor and the leadership of the university to participate in this event. And thank you for inviting me. As we went round today, I guess what struck me was the level of innovation, the level of entrepreneurship, but most importantly, the relationship and friendship between the lecturers, the professors, and the students. Because during my time, it was not necessarily like that. And I thought that was a very good beginning. Because when I was a student here, and I'm a product of this environment, I went to University Primary School. The only time I left the campus, or because I lived on the fringes of campus, was when I went to Prempeh College. So I went to Prempeh College and I came back. So I've always seen myself as a product of this environment. And ever since I started working, actually, I've always made sure that I come back to KNUST in one or the other. So I've worked with all the vice chancellors from the late Professor Andam to, I think, Adakwa, Professor Ellis, who was also actually my mate. And then Aubry Danso. And then today I got the privilege to meet the First Lady Vice Chancellor.
Good.
The question is, why do I keep coming back to KNUST? Because when I left the shores of Ghana to study in the US, it then struck me, because when I was a student here, I must say I was playful, but I was lucky. I was lucky because what I saw today between students and professors, I was just privileged because my father knew the professors, so I could go to them and share my thoughts. So I started off in architecture. And I remember one day, I was going home, I passed by chemistry department, and the dean at that time was the late Professor Coutinsian. And as we sat in his office talking about it, he asked me, why are you in architecture? I'd never asked or thought of that question. I said, oh, because, you know, in those years, architecture was a nice course to do. I mean, there were 12 of us or 20 of us, so I was there. And then he said, but I think you can do better in business, because always I listen to you, and I said, but who wants to do business in KNUST? This place is for engineers. So you see, that was the thinking at that time, that you go to KNUST and you box yourself, you're an engineer, but you don't even discuss business. Now, out of that conversation, he said to me to go and buy him a bottle of Gulda, and that was the first time I drank Gulda. So I bought him the bottle, the beer, and we shared it. And I enjoyed myself. And then when I went home that evening, I told my dad I want to change course. He said, why? I said, because the professor says that I'm not going to be a good architect. And besides, I'm the bottom of the class anyway. And coming from Prempeh, I was in the top, but Tech, I'm at the bottom, so I want to move up. And he says, I will never be a good architect. You will finish by your own pace. So he said, my father, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know, but maybe go to Legon. So my father drove me to Prof's office and said, I put over now, Adema Akolano. So, because he said, architecture there, Obedraw Science, Onyashi, Bonkoye business. But man can't change Uncle Legon. I told him, say he should do business. So he should move to the social science faculty. So I switched course. In fact, I repeated myself. And a lot of my friends, when they see me today, that's why they recount that he was the guy who moved from Akito to do social science. Because in those days, social science was not called the College of Humanities. We didn't even have a lecture hall. We used to have a lecture halls here in the Great Hall. But from that Gouda drinking with Prof, my career just moved off. I went from UST to work with Coca-Cola, to work for the governor, to work for CNN. And I joined CNN at a time when technology was changing. Internet was moving in. So moving from Akito, not saying I'm not an engineer, I find myself working with engineers around the world, and the best of engineers at that time. But then I just realized that my little experiences with my engineering friends, my Akito friends, would always come in handy. So they would always ask me, what did you study? And then when I wanted to bluff, I'll tell them that I went to the best engineering university. So whatever you study a bit of engineering. And they would believe it. They would believe it. But I'm just recounting this story because for me, what the students and the professors sharing knowledge is what has lifted the great universities of this world. It's not necessarily, all the books we read are the same. But it's the confidence that Professor Coutinsian gave me in those days, which made me realize that I can be whoever I want to be. Because as we were leaving, he said to me, you see that woman, there used to be a woman who used to sell charcoal. He said, Obawe, the reason why you come back in 10 years and she'll still be selling is because she's not applying business sense. But who, you can't say, Tom, bidye weya. Ubiti mindi bidye na ko baby. I want to be university or Tom bidye. No, that was what I told her. I said, sure, bidye. But those conversations during my time were not taking place in the university. And so I've always been very grateful to that man that even though I was never in his faculty, he made me who I am today. And that's why I could move from one field to the other and go to become a diplomat and come back. Now, what I think KNUST brings to the table is the innovation. What KNUST brings to the table is the entrepreneurship. What KNUST brings to the table is the fact that, as Madam said earlier, we're learning to solve problems. We're a bit different from the other universities. So even during our time when we didn't have the sort of innovation that we see today, if you look at a lot of the entrepreneurs in Ghana, NS Chemist, KNUST, Kina Pharma, KNUST, a lot of them. That time, I was teasing my Legon friends, and I said, let's list the people who are pushing Ghana forward. KNUST. We produce vice chancellors, we produce CEOs. How many of you Legonize, apart from the political aspect of it? And even when we go into politics, we do better. Yeah,
that's true.
And in those days, I would give them the example of Mrs. Rawlins. I'll give them the example of P.V. Obing, and say it's because of the thinking process in that university. And where I think maybe we all need to come in and help is that narrative should be shaped. That narrative should be monetized. That narrative should make any CEO or any entrepreneur who gets an idea say, KNUST is the place to go. That is what Silicon Valley has done. That is what Stanford has done. That is what Yale has done. We've all gone through, most of you have been through, walked through some of the corridors of these universities. It's the same books. But their narrative, when you walk in there, makes you think that if it's politics, you want to be, if it's business, you want to be, if you walk through the doors of these universities, you can do it. It's very simple, you know. My last job before I came here was ambassador to China. And really, that was when I came to see Professor Aubrey Dansu, that I would like to link KNUST to Tsinghua University. Because when I walked through the doors of Tsinghua University, I just saw that they were trying to solve the problems of China. And they would take what was being done in, whether it was Australia or whether it was the US or wherever, and retailer it to the common day solution of the Chinese person. And they've been able to perfect it so well that now the US and all these institutions, McKinsey, all of them have laboratories at Tsinghua University. So I went to them, and I also realized that being in China, a lot of our students who were excelling in their postgraduate programs, master's programs, unfortunately, a lot of them are now being hired by the Chinese. All of them, if I would be bold to say so, 99% KNUST graduates.
Wow. Wow.
You know, KNUST. So I said to them that, look, let's go back and try and help. And that's when we decided we're going to do a science incubator between Tsinghua and KNUST. Unfortunately, in the middle of all this, the COVID broke and that idea has been shelved. But Musa is still around, and now that I've met Madame, we'll revisit it. But a university is supposed to solve problems. But a university is also supposed to make money. And that is what we were not taught when we were here. But for me, that was what Professor Coutinsian told me when he said I could be the best charcoal farmer in the world. He didn't tell me go and make money. But because he told me I could be the best charcoal seller in the world, wherever I've been, whether I was selling Coca-Cola or selling CNN or my own company, I felt I could be the best. And I think a university should do that. There's no way why a university like KNUST should not be one of the richest institutions or corporates in Ghana and in Africa, from what I saw today.
Good. Great. So thank you very much for that submission. I think that we've heard quite a lot, and also inspiring for me is the fact that after many years, some of you came back, and the relationship between professors and students have shifted from what it used to be. I think for those of us who have worked, who have studied outside, we know how they leverage those relationships to actually inspire productivity. So I'm happy to hear that we are observing those trends at KNUST today. Great. So in the spirit of the 70th anniversary celebrations, we are looking at creating this new age for a renewed focus. And part of the renewed focus is to say, what are some of the things that we could do differently to create more impact? So as great leaders within your industries, and now I think of your industries beyond the firm that you work for, but really the bigger industry within which you operate. Looking at what we experienced this morning, and based on the conversation had so far, what are some of the quick wins? What are some of the little things that you think can happen between your industry and the university? And what specifically do you intend to do to make it happen, to see it happen? I think we can start with you, Mr. Akwe.
Thank you very much. For me, the university should have a national focus. That the things that we do solve national problems. Whether it is agric, the business school, I listen to them and I ask myself, about 90% of businesses we have in Ghana are SMEs. And SMEs contribute about 70% to our GDP. Everybody is talking about SME. We continue to have business schools. Can we create something that will address the business development aspect of SMEs, such that simple technologies can make SMEs more productive. So you have engineering, you have business school, you have computer. How do we come together to solve most of the SME challenges that we have in the country? It is not an industry as agric forestry, but we are targeting SMEs. We also know that when you talk of SMEs, you have a lot in Ashanti region, and Kumasi to be specific. How will the university make such an impact on operators in Kumasi? If you come to my area, agric, I know now this statement has become political. Some people say this year there will be food scarcity. Others say there will be no food scarcity. I won't go into it. But we continue to import about $500 million worth of rice every year. Maize, sometimes we are self-sufficient. Hybrid seeds, we imported about 7,000 metric tons. We have university. These are national issues. Environment, national issues. Plastic waste, national issues. Climate smart agriculture, national issues. So once you target national issues, people listen to you. And the university must be bold enough to tackle national issues so that they will have ears. The good thing is that when you begin to tackle national issues, you get international ears. Because what you will do and you'll be successful in Ghana can be replicated in other countries. The university should not see itself as only bringing out graduates, but it must address issues that affect the people of the country. We may say national, but in the end it will be global. Yeah. Because once you do it here, you can replicate it in other places. Yeah. That is something that in our new age and renewing our focus, we have to address national issues.
Okay, great. So I think that's a fantastic idea. And if we will delve a bit into it, my question will be, we've heard that the university might need to take that focus on national issues, solving things like plastic waste, food scarcity, etc. From where you sit, what are some basic things that you could do to support so that the university can take those first steps? Because we really want to be practical about this and get something going out of the 70th anniversary. So what can you do to help?
There's no way university can handle this alone. Public-private partnership is key. PPP is very important in this regard. But you need to build a solid business and investment case before you can succeed. Because you can have 1 million people who are all trying to solve the problem. But why will somebody listen to you? It is based on the investment and the business case that you will develop. Then come to the business model that you will want to use. So, and fortunately, this university has a lot of networks. And network is a resource. Network is as powerful as funding, because when you tap into your networks, you are able to tap into resources. So now even the UN has recognized networking as one of the resources for development.
Brilliant.
So we have to tap into the networks that we have and be able to have this new vision coming to reality.
So on behalf of the university, I can confidently say that we'll be tapping into your network as well when it comes to building this.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, good. We'll take it forward. Can we hear the thoughts of Patricia Wunai on this?
Okay. So, in the spirit of the renewed focus, for me, I start with this. When I started working in the telco industry, if you come in as a fresh engineer with the basic knowledge from school, and then the company grows you because you don't understand anything that's happening there. And a lot of the knowledge was gained through our internships as we experience industry. But in the world in which we are operating today, there's enough vacancy with fewer people to take the roles. And it's because of the new job roles that are being created. I always talk about the robotics that we do here in Ghana, and the fact that people's job descriptions are now what we call conversationalists. It never existed in my time. And all they do is morning till evening train robots to understand the way the customers will talk to them. Now, if we can get people being psyched and trained like that from school, before they come, it becomes easier. You have people now in design thinking, and they do all the UX, UI interfaces for customers. That's somebody's day job now. You have cybersecurity, which in the past, I mean, when I started telco, it was the secondary thing. Now it's the mainstream. And these guys are the most expensive. 30%, by 2025, our plan is that 30% of all the engineering roles will be software engineers. So these are areas that we can partner with the university and build the pipeline to make sure there are jobs waiting for them here or outside, and they can grow into being part of the future that's ongoing. I think the second one that comes to mind is the work that the women in STEM are doing. And obviously, my bias will show very clearly that I really believe in STEM. I really believe that it's not an issue that should be left to just one demographic. There are enough women in Ghana who can make a difference if we allow them to participate. And the fantastic thing they mentioned to us there is starting and fueling the pipeline. Because when girls start school, they start very brilliant until somebody tells them that science and math is not for you, and then they all leave, right? And so bringing girls in, which is something we used to do with KNUST before COVID, where you count them and expose them to technology, is amazing. And if they are bringing it back, then I can make a commitment here on the stage that we will support them this year to get these girls in, to train them for the program, and make sure we change that mindset. And help them to see a future in science. Yeah.
Great. So we have two great initiatives that we can follow up on, and I'm trusting that our provosts are taking notes because we'll take this into action. Mr. Ricosey, can you share your thoughts moving into this new age?
Yes, thank you. So, renewed focus. But I think the new age is what scares me. Three things from what I've seen here today, three things comes into mind. The first one is we see Ghana today, there is a conscious effort to drive industrialization. So we have Ministry of Trade and Industry, we have one district, one factory. I think that they should be the #1 partners for this exhibition next year. So this is the first point from what I see. The second point, which is if we think about the new age, the university needs a business model for research and innovation. And as we say, when we say a business model, how does the university make money? And I'll use the example of Pfizer and BioNTech for the COVID-19 vaccine. mRNA technology is a dormant technology which has been there for some years. And the opportunity came with COVID. Now, whenever Pfizer decides to extend mRNA vaccine into other viral disease vaccinations like HIV, there are universities that are going to be paid royalties for this. So it's important that if we want to go into this area of collaborating with industry, we have a business model. And I think that we have the resources here to do it. We don't need to go outside. And in terms of the university campus itself, it will be good to have the faculty of law people here to talk about intellectual property. Because once you start with innovation, you are going into intellectual property. The other part is the business school, where you look at the potential, the margins, a simple income statement. What is the business model? I mean, who is going to pay for your products that you have? And then the third point, from what I've seen here today, is it will be good for the university to share their research themes with us. Or maybe we have a way of getting to know your research themes so that when there are opportunities for research and funding, we can also direct some here.
Good. So if I'll narrow down to some specifics, from where you sit today as a leader of a business and also the president of the MedTech Chamber, could you be a little more specific as to something that you believe you can take off with KNUST immediately and you'll be there to facilitate?
Yeah, I think that with the issue of the research business model in the MedTech area, we can help.
Okay.
Yes, because we meet a lot of universities globally on different research topics. And most of the professors have very good idea about business than even we, the people from industry.
Okay, great.
And the structure, the way they structure things, they have different modules that we can at least try and adapt here to help in the developmental stages of products. Of course, for the university, maybe for all these products, we will come up with maybe 3 or 4 super products that can do Africa or even globally. Mm-hmm. But we need to have that business model and strategy in place.
Okay, great, good. Thank you very much. His Excellency, can we have your thoughts on this? What are some quick wins that we can run away home with and how you can support KNUST on that?
Okay, before I speak, I would like to acknowledge Aja Konimo. I was one of his little drama boys.
A round of applause for Aja.
I'd like to acknowledge him. Yeah. I think from his wisdom, we are who we are today. You know, I think from my observations of today, the university has to make a conscious effort to change the narrative out there. And it's generally a Ghanaian problem, and it's an African problem. We don't know how to tell our stories. So when people think about innovation, when they think about new ways of doing things, UST or KNUST would not necessarily come to mind, but it should. So a lot of emphasis has to be put in that regard so that industry leaders here would know that KNUST has the abilities to solve their problems. I always tell people that a product like Coca-Cola, everybody knows it. But for a can of Coke, that will cost you 50 pesos. 30 pesos of that is on the narrative they shape around it. So that wherever you are, if you are thirsty, that's what comes to your mind. And I guess Mrs. Oboda will also attest to it. How much they spend trying to convince people that their brand is the best. So we need to make a conscious effort. The big universities of this world, whether it's Harvard or whether it's Oxford, they don't leave their narrative to chance. And it's something that the university has to work on. Communication should be a major part of your business plan. And
okay,
that's
so
something that
I can come in to ask. I believe that we will all agree that when our communication is good and it's sharp out there, we'll be happy. Is that an area that you are able and willing to support the university as we get into this new age to actually shift the narrative around who we are and what we can do? Yes. It's a very personal space now.
Definitely. I'll be happy to lend my expertise. I'll be willing to bring people I work with to help.
Excellent, excellent, great.
I think
Good.
the second is also the university has to, KNUST cannot solve all the problems of Ghana. But industry should look at KNUST to solve some problems. I don't know what those problems are. And at lunch today, I was giving the example that I used to recruit for my company. Whenever we're looking for the next CEOs in our companies, we never went to some universities. I would never go to MIT, or I would never go to University of Chicago. I would go to some universities, maybe Duke or Harvard, Clark Atlanta, because those were next line of leaders, people who could convince people that we are the best. But we wanted problem solvers, the people in the back room who make the engines of the company tick. If you take them out, the company will collapse. You'd go to MIT, you go to University of Chicago, you go to Tsinghua University. Why? Because they have positioned themselves as such. They've positioned themselves as such. So today, there are lots of universities coming up in Ghana. Where is UST, KNUST positioned for the next 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? Because, for instance, I'm the Director General of SIGA. When we sit, I should be able to tell my CEOs that you have this problem, go to KNUST. Most of the time, when they bring you proposals to solve their problems, they are looking outside the country. Yeah. Why? Why? We need to answer that question. We need to answer that question. For a long time, I worked in media, engineering rooms. People would always assume that you were educated outside the country. Whenever you told them, oh, me, I'm a product of UST. Oh, sir. It shouldn't be a surprise. So I think it's something that the university also has to take seriously, that what part of the national problem or the national problems do you want to solve, and how do we want to solve it, so that the experts will be from us. And when that happens also, we should work with the institutions, because problem solving takes money. I always argue with people when they say Ghanaian professors don't write. Writing is not cheap. Yeah. Writing takes money. And therefore, my third thing is that the university has to make a conscious effort to attract capital. You have to make a conscious effort. There's no institution of repute in this world that is not well endowed. How do you solve a problem if you don't have money? So it will sit on the shelf. It will sit on the shelf. So for me, it's changing the narrative, making sure that you can attract the capital, such that Patricia is willing to put so much money into your research labs because she knows that you're going to solve her problem for her. Yeah. That's what companies are looking for.
Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant.
And also the positioning. So those are my three things.
Excellent, brilliant. A round of applause for that. So I am trusting that our provosts are really picking the notes and getting laser sharp on exactly what the next steps will be following this discussion. So on the part of the narrative and what sort of human capital we produce to support the nation and the world at large, I think that it links strongly to the fact that the image of any university, an institution for that matter, is directly correlated to the quality of products that they churn out there. Okay, so knowing that KNUST has helped to make most of us here who we are, and knowing that it continues on that journey, and bearing in mind, as you say, that there are many more universities coming out there who are probably positioning themselves clearly as to what they represent and what they offer to society. I would want to ask, what do you think KNUST can do additionally or differently to really improve or boost the profile of our graduates, so that the market competitiveness and attraction will become bigger, because we know we are great, and the new age is that we want to stay at the greatest. What can we do differently? Can we start with Patricia? So it's all about the quality of our graduates now.
I think I touched on some of them, and the first will be, let's engage the industry and understand the needs of the industry today. And one will be the skills that is required to get the new jobs done. And that's some of the things I mentioned in security, in data, being data scientists. I mean, the amount of money you pay to a data scientist, and then tomorrow a bank comes for him, they are hot cake. You know, so if we want to position the university as, then all the HR directors should understand, if you are looking for data scientists, stop going to LinkedIn, come to KNUST, they are there. You know, and that's where you can put your money, because you know it's a pipeline. Today we found female engineering students. We pay third year schools. We give them scholarships, some of them, and then after that they come to our company to do internship. It's because we have understood the pipeline that we want to build. And I think we can do the same with specific skills and partner. And that will really position the university as the place to go for the new way of working, the new talents that the industry is looking for.
Great.
Yeah.
Brilliant, thanks. Mr. Kwei, your thoughts on that? What can we do to further improve the quality of our products and become more competitive out there?
I think exposure is very important. If you train someone for 4 years and the person does not have any exposure with industry, when the person goes out, his or her confidence level is low. And there are a lot of industries around. So it is time we find a way of exposing our students to industry to build their confidence level. For us, when we are hiring, one of the things we observe is the confidence of the people who come for interview. And sometimes you ask yourself whether they are even graduates. The confidence level is so low that even when they have answers, how to articulate their answers is a big issue. And I think that exposure will help. How do we also mimic some of the real-life issues on campus? During my time, we're having seminars, and we're inviting people to come for seminars at the faculty. I don't know if it is still ongoing, but this is something that we should be able to do most often, so that the students will be able to interact with some industry players to have confidence. The last time I was invited here, I spelled out a number of opportunities. When I finished, I stood here for more than 30, 40 minutes. Not a single student came to me to even ask of my contact. And when I was coming, I had prepared a package for people who come closer to me. And I was so surprised that you come and make all these statements, and people will want to take selfie, but nobody will ask you for a contact.
Yeah.
Later on, the only lady who called me that she wants to do national service is now my PA.
Wow.
She had the confidence to call.
Yeah.
She did the service after she was hired, and now she's my PA.
Excellent.
So we need to let the students have confidence.
Yeah.
And one of the ways is let them be exposed to industry. Yeah. And like I said, this university is big. You have a lot of networks. We have a lot of CEOs who own they have their own businesses.
Yeah.
Whether you go to pharmaceutical, engineering, I'm sure if KNUST today wants to do something with Vodafone, they know who to contact. And we should not let internship be something that you just take. Yeah. I have done internship, then you just take. Yeah. They just bring, then you take. But the internship should be something that is exposing the students to industry
Yeah.
and to build their confidence. It depends on what you tell the students.
Okay.
If someone is going to do internship and say, this is part of the
Assessment.
and if you don't do it,
You
we will
fail.
not mark you.
Yeah.
The idea is that I'm going there for
Take-
marks.
Yeah.
But if we're able to educate the person that this is important in your career, then they will also take it serious.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Yes.
Oh, and
Eric.
let me
Okay.
me add that initially we were hiring on knowledge and certificates. Then we moved to skills. Now it is more on attitude.
Yeah.
Because for me, if you don't have the skills and you have attitude, we can train you
Yeah.
to gain the
Yeah,
skills.
sure.
But if you have skills and you don't have the attitude, no matter the investment we will put in you, we will
No
not get
results.
any
Yeah.
output
Yeah.
from you. So this mindset, the new age and the way of doing things should not only rest at the higher level of the university, but it has to be drummed into the ears of the students because they will be the game changers on the field.
Excellent. Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Akwe.
I
Eric,
think
your thoughts?
Wearing the cap of the MedTech Chamber. So MedTech Chamber is mainly an association of medical technology companies worldwide. Now, one of our big problems is getting biomedical engineers who are ready to work. And it's not only Sysmex, all the companies. And anytime we put out an advert, we want a service engineer. We get CVs, technicians, electrical engineer, electronic engineer. So at some point I asked, how will this person be able to help a patient when they have no background in physiology, biochemistry, etc.? Then I got to know that we started biomedical engineering courses in Ghana. So we actually asked for the course content for Legon, UST, and I think 2 or 3 more universities. At the same time, the German government had also identified the same problem, that most of the equipments in the hospitals are broken down and nobody is repairing them. At some point, some 10 years ago, we had less than 20 people in the whole Ghana who can manage an MRI machine. So we started this internship program where we take on biomedical engineers from KNUST, and we check the knowledge level, and we go through the basic training for about 2 years. But at some point, we decided to engage the German Health Alliance that we want to equip our biomedical engineering departments and faculties in the country. So we did a need assessment here on KNUST campus with the head of department, I think one Dr. Aqua. Yes. And the focus is that we want to equip these labs with ultra-modern equipment from 5 German medtech companies, mainly Sysmex, Siemens, Draeger, Karl Storz, and B. Braun. And this is an extension of a project which has already been done with 2 universities, one in Senegal and one in Kenya. And the whole idea, the overall objective, is to bring the industry to the classroom and to take the classroom to the industry. Secondly, to employ students and also create more research opportunities for the professors. And lastly, this project would look at creating or establishing that connection between the chamber and the university.
Brilliant, brilliant. So it's been some good ideas shared so far. His Excellency, you have any points to share on this? Then we'll take a musical interlude for the Provost to collate all the ideas and then share back with us the definite next steps that they will take. So any thoughts to improve the quality of our graduates? Because that is those are ambassadors of quality out there.
I think with the improving the products, I think that I would ask the professors to self-reflect.
Okay.
Because the professors the students coming out are a reflection of the professors and the teachers.
Great.
And that is what I think I would like to suggest, that the professors should self-reflect. Like I gave the example that I've always seen myself as a product of Kutinsian. Because of the advice he gave me, because of my relationship with him.
Great.
So I think that for that, the university, when they go through the thinking process of how they want to position the university for the next 5 years or 10 years, it's a reflection of who the professors are.
Excellent.
And that also has to be selective. I mean, who wants to be a professor, a lecturer at KNUST? The students should reflect that. And I think we cannot talk about the improvement of the product without the people who are molding the product, because what they are molding is what will get out there. I'm a product of Ajay Konimo. You sit, you listen to him, you play the drum, the same thing 25 times. And all of us who were little drummer boys, whether we were in industry or we still continue drumming, they are the best. And they would always say, recently we went to a funeral and we're dancing. And then one lady came and said, Konimo kola de muni masa. That was it, because he taught us the way to dance kete, way to dance adwa. So I would say that the products are just a reflection of the professors. But what I would like to add, though, is that the narrative is important. The alumni network should be strengthened. I think that we have not done well. And all of us should bow ourselves, our head down in shame. One thing that we should also take out of here is to strengthen our alumni network and make people know who we are and be proud. There's no UST journal talking about industry, talking about women, that should not have her face. Because it pushes the next female walking through the doors that, I want to be like her. I can be better. And I think it's important. So we should know where our people are, and that we have not done well. Recently, a friend of mine came to visit, and we're talking. I said, Ish, how come we don't know where we are? Let's set up a Republic Hall chat platform. I was surprised where some of my mates are, people who were before me. That is wealth. That is money that we're not able to tap into. It's not an easy thing to do, but I would suggest that we begin that process, because when we do it well, it opens doors for the next level of products who are also coming out. It inspires them, and I think he talked about bringing people from industry to come and talk. I mean, Kofi Annan was a product of KNUST. We gave him an honorary doctorate. Did he ever enter any classroom here to teach? I don't know. But if there was a conscious effort to bring people like that, it would have made a huge impact. It would have made a huge impact on the minds of, because at this age, our minds are very fertile, and it takes in these things. And I think the university, all these things are suggestions on how the professors can also self-reflect. I mean, recently I had an interview on a Chinese channel. Then the guy said, Mr. Boateng, don't you remember me? I said, no. He said, I interviewed you on KNUST campus about 10 years ago, and you gave me a job. I said, wow. He said, yes, I came to you, and then I remember the story. And I said, hey, so how did you get to CGTN? This is the guy who is the voice of Ghana to China. He should be at an event like this. He is the voice of Ghana to 1.7 billion Chinese people whenever his story goes out. And he's your product. The Americans are very good with doing that. Whenever, I don't know how they try, but every time I get a new appointment, they are the first person to congratulate me. And then after that, they'll ask you, Edward, you have to sign a check for the next student, you know that. Because the money is important. We can't do all these things if we do not raise the money. I mean, we sell a lot of good products here. Why are they sitting on the shelves? So we need to also push that frontier. And for that, I also like the professors also to challenge themselves.
Excellent.
because we are your products.
Excellent.
We are your products.
Okay, so it's self-reflection. We definitely need to do better with our alumni network because that's where the money lies and that's where the prospect lies. And on that note, I think it's a beautiful point to take a musical interlude from our favorite Ejakonimo, whilst the provost put their thoughts together, because we would love to hear some specifics of what you will do next to get us into this new age. Thank you very much. A musical interlude.
To the question, it's a German son. It is a wash that be a program. You could see you get books as a wedding, if you are near a woman. And then, car, it couldn't departure in a year. The core of the problem is on several pillars. The courtesy, consideration, forbearance, tolerance, and respect to human rights, which go to make up civilization, and is gracefully lacking in the traffic street. If I told me in a man, I'm afraid that can't come in papa. What's the man? Maybe my power.
A big round of applause for young people. Welcome back to the second part of the discussion. So we've had a lot of ideas, a lot of discussions, and obviously we can see the potential of the good things that we can do together as a university with the industry. Now we will love to hear from our provost, based on all these intriguing discussions, what are the low-hanging fruits, some specifics that they believe they can pick up immediately, and then we can pursue the relevant parties within industry to make it happen. So on that one, I would like to start from the far end Institute of Distance Learning, and then we'll run through like that. So what are some of the ideas that you picked that you think you can run with immediately, and how that can help? Are we missing anything? So each of us will have 3 minutes each to share our thoughts.
Thank you very much. Good evening to all of you. With the Institute of Distance Learning, the advantage that we have is that about 80% or more are workers. So they are already in the industry. So what we have not taken advantage of is to make sure we conduct tracer studies, make sure we identify where they're coming from, and follow up with them after the graduation, what they are doing. And the most interesting thing is that when they are in their thesis phase, they identify problems from industry. That's the very good thing that they are doing. Because they are coming from industry, they identify problems from industry and try to solve that problem. But then they have limited time. So most often they are not able to come to a logical conclusion. And so what I think the Institute can do is to have a very good tracer studies, make sure that we are able to follow up after their graduation, their research. If there's something that as an institute we can do in terms of writing follow-up, writing a proposal to the industry, seeking for funding to be able to complete the research that they started. I think that's one option that as an institute we can embark on. The other thing is that we can also, as the captains were saying, we can, because we are not limited by geographical space, because of the technology that we use in delivering our courses, we can also invite some experts from industry to handle a course or two, or even organize seminars for them through our distance learning technologies. And I think that will also go a long way to encourage some of them, to give them the confidence that we talk about, to be able to reach their maximum potential. And I think that is what we as an institute, we are thinking of doing. Aside that, currently, because of the fact that we write physical exams, and so we are not attracting a lot of foreign students, because our impact should also be felt beyond Ghana. And so I think what we need to do is to make sure that we improve on our technology in terms of our studios, so that we can conduct exams even online. I mean, we have to invest into technology so that the foreign students can also take advantage on the quality education that we are providing to our local nationals. And I think that is what I've taken from this discussion, and we are going to use these points to advance.
Excellent. Great. Round of applause for you.
Thank you very much. So, I have also taken a few points. The first one is network for partnership. I think that we have some in that some of the programs that have some networks, in particular food science. We realize food science have a lot of network. I think that has to be replicated in some other programs. For example, computer science. I see a lot of work that we can do with Vodafone and all that. We're talking of data science. In fact, almost all the physical science, for example, mathematics, physics, all these can go seriously into very serious programming. In fact, we have started serious programming and also building our labs, in particular the dry lab, the computer lab, to make sure that we are able to advance in this direction. And I think that hearing this, we seem to be going in the same direction, and we'll look forward that we can partner Vodafone. The other thing I also see is coaching and mentoring. I see that we can also take advantage of industry, because we provide training, provide a lot of things, but there are a lot of practical things they can actually pick up with industry. And so that's another area that we will advance to link up with our captains to really work on. Research, collaboration, and linkages also another thing that I think that we can, because we want to really serve as a problem-solving wing of industry. I look at us as, because really we want industry, problems that are initiated from industry, we really want to scout for those problems, and that those problems are those that will be solved by our students. Because every time students will take up project works, and even postgraduate students taking up thesis, we're also looking at a situation where some of things that they will do are problems they are solving for the industry. The other part was also looking at developing a business, because it's not all of us. One key problem the country have is unemployment. It means that there are a number of us that can become entrepreneurs. And so we are looking at a situation where we will also look at business. We are from the College of Science. Most of the things we do, sometimes we might not put money to it. For example, in a stand here, there's a colleague who works extensively on zeolites, and a lot of work he's doing, developing filters and etc. And I was surprised I didn't see any item of his, because the business ideas, he's not looking at things on that direction, and think this has opened our eye to this, and these are other things that we're going to do. And finally, I also want to look at a situation where we talked about exposure, making sure that our students are well exposed, not only in terms of the internship, but also there are other opportunities that will provide them other linkages, even abroad, that will really advance what they have studied in order to be more skillful for industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we'll move to Prof. Marfo.
Yes. Coming from the College of Humanities and Social Sciences, let me say that it has been very refreshing listening to you from industry. I mean, for the first time I didn't hear industry saying you don't even have curricula that trains better students for us to employ. But you are even asking us to send them to you so that they can broaden their horizon and, for that matter, being exposed to what is out there. Again, I'm excited because I did not hear people saying that maybe it's about time you stop teaching some of the programs you are teaching. We hear it all the time. I don't know whether tonight we're just being kind. But then you hear people telling you, why are they still reading history or tree at the university? And normally when you hear that, it gets you worried. It gets you worried because just as some of the things you mentioned, like communication, and here I want to emphasize on research communication. Perhaps one should be trained in these areas that we are talking about, language use. I had the opportunity to meet management of Ghana Free Zones Board, and the chair tells me that, Charles, the problem I have is that, yes, they are fine engineers, they are fine, but they can't even write their own report. And then I thought, so English is not bad after all, even at the telecommunication industry. And so for me, I thought, basically I listed almost, it looks as if I was writing a thesis or something. because I wrote almost everything. For me, everything you said is a low-hanging fruit, as you rightly pointed out. But I guess immediately, what we really want to do, which we have indeed started. In fact, when we were speaking about it, I was thinking of one of the professors, Professor Ahmed Ejapon. We started what we call Leadership Academy. And we thought that, initially we thought we are going to take a few of those with higher grade point average. And then the committee came and said, no, let's advertise. Let the students that want to join the academy apply for it. And towards applying for it, they take them through a process of writing statements, and then what they want to do. And so for me, I'm very happy that we have people like you that are ready to train such students, because we are definitely going to knock at your doors, perhaps indicate to us people that could be good mentors for these leaders. And again, we also are ready to write the story of KNUST, as you rightly pointed out. I really believe that is the mandate of the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. So yes, we gathered all the points you said, but as I said, these are the two key areas. Getting our students to work with people in industry, getting good mentors for them, broadening their horizon. Somebody mentioned confidence, right? That when they go out there, they are able to do what is expected of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Good.
Right, thank you very much. And to captains of industry, I am lost for words regarding how much appreciative I am. But to speak to the issue, I really deem academia industry as a kind of marriage that should necessarily happen, but not just happen because of convenience. And for quite a long time, our marriage has been one of convenience. When we need you, we come to you. When you need us, you come to us. When we don't need each other, we stay in our silos. And that doesn't really foster for the long-term development of this country. Being universities and you being academia. I mean, being universities or academia and you being industry. So I would want to pick up on the business case model and then also the branding. And then say that for that to really happen and happen in a very collegial manner, we would be knocking at your doors. Unfortunately, I would want to perhaps pause here and make this observation. His Excellency with us here jumped ship from architecture to business. So I am in a college that doesn't have any proper representation from industry. I'm taking from the residue of all of you. So my Vice Chancellor is taking note of that for next year. So very much so, we need to come to you, and we have to dialogue and create industry chairs in the various disciplines that the colleges have to offer, which critical national problems really would be solved if a chair is created and industry has its responsibilities to bear towards that chair, and then the chair is sitting in the university here, engaging with students, mostly postgraduate level, churning out the research, tailored towards the particular problem solving for which that chair has been created. I think that to go a long way, and industry support is highly needed in that regard. I would also want to go further and indicate that what has been observed is that the quality of the KNUST product is not bad, but it is also true to say that given the numbers we are now having to deal with, we have to sit up and maintain that quality, or it is necessarily going to dip. This is where I think it's going to be a very, very difficult thing. You want quantity, and at the same time, you want quality, and the resource base is weak. So that trade-off, the nation has to get it very right. If we don't get that trade-off right, we'll be churning out quantity, but suffering the effects or consequences of lack of quality. And I would want to call on industry that you have to make the right nuances to support academia for that kind of trade-off and balance to be struck. I also want to believe that as industry, you have that kind of close collaboration with professional associations, just like we in academia are. And this particular dialogue series should actually be broadened to include those in those associations of professional standing, captains of industry, academia, and I would want to dare say government representatives, so that we broaden this discussion in that scope and then see to it that at the end of today, for example, it doesn't just become a talking shop. A working document is produced and presented to the highest level of policy making and decision taking for actions to be taken. I want to end by the issue that was raised regarding attitude. Attitude is fundamental to life, and it is, even in my view, better to have it than the brains. In that regard, what I have observed recently is that the kind of age levels that students come to the university is presenting a challenge for their attitude. Not too long ago, just about a week, there was this young man who was passing through my college and had braided his hair just like a female. Mm-hmm. I called him and said, I mean, what is the meaning of this? He said, what? I said, your hair. Then he said, what's wrong with my hair? He found nothing wrong with his hair. But of course, we are all in an era where the Achimota case is very much, let me call it, ripe in our thinking and minds. So that balance has to be struck, the level to which you can discipline a student to achieve the right attitude. Other than that, we do our best as academia here. We could do better with industry collaboration, and I see that collaboration to be one that would have to be cast in stone as against a marriage of convenience, as I said earlier. Thank you very much for your thoughts.
Great, thank you. Thank you also for those submissions. Yes.
Yeah, from my part, I wish to thank the speakers for their brilliant submissions. And I also picked a few things. I will look at it from internal, within the university, and then external. Going around this morning, I realized that there were some products which some colleges have churned out, but they would have been better served if there had been some form of collaboration and partnership with other colleges. So as a first step, we should be able to strengthen the intercollegiate partnership, because we keep talking about industry issues. No issue of industry is solvable by one entity. It is normally a multidisciplinary or a multifaceted thing. So we should build our house well so that any industry sector that we approach, we go as a unified force, as a multidisciplinary force. And that is what they want to see, because that is more convincing, because they know that the results will come if we go in that direction. My second thought is that I think it was His Excellency who raised it that, no, it was Mr. Osei. We should advertise our research themes. Fortunately, the Vice Chancellor has come up with a brilliant vision, one which is updating all the college websites. So this is the first point where we can put our research things on the website, because if anybody from outside wants information about you, the first point of call is to go to your website and see what is there. So I think that is something we should pursue, every college should pursue, so that industry can get a feel of what we are capable of doing, and then that will then allow them to even invite us for any discussion going forward. The next one is the internship and the adjunct lectureship. As my colleague said, the numbers we are dealing with now, it's so much that sending 1,000 students on internship, it's really impossible. But then we can invite prominent, active industry players for them to come and give seminars. Some of them even teaching some of the courses that we offer. And by that, I think they can, through their engagement, start putting some attitudinal changes to what the student mindset already is. Because as Mr. Akwe said, now as for knowledge, everybody has it. As for the skill, you can get it. But if your attitude to work is bad or it's poor, nobody will employ you. Or you can't even go on your own too. So attitude is very important, and I think because of the numbers, we should make that serious effort to bring the industry captains into our fold for them to assist us. And finally, on the business model that we were referring to, I've always been an advocate of PPP. We have the expertise. The private sector has got the business knowledge, business know-how, and then the operational skills. So it's high time we embark on that journey going forward. At the moment, the College of Agriculture and Natural Resources is deeply engaged with Agri-Impact Consult for the greenhouses that we have here. And based on our performance, Mr. Akwe is even planning to give us more of the greenhouses. Right. And it has become a point where, apart from selling of the products, some of our students who are showing interest are able to go there and learn it, because after school, who knows, maybe they will either be employed by somebody who has a greenhouse, or they can team up and then establish their own greenhouses. And all these things are for the betterment of our students. So I believe these are the few points I have, and we are going to pursue them vigorously.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Round of applause. Okay.
I'm sitting in for my provost of the College of Engineering, but I'm Abdulrahman Ahmed, the Dean of the Faculty of Electrical and Computer Engineering. My first submission, if I have the permission of my Vice Chancellor, is to suggest that this kind of engagement be made an annual affair for KNUST. The top-class ideas that have been shared so far are jewels that we cannot afford to miss in subsequent years. So maybe the panelists may be changed or some other people may replace them, but if we can make this an annual affair, I think there's so much to learn listening from people like this with all their experiences. We could even take it outside the walls of KNUST and be the leaders of engaging in national dialogue as to the problems of the nation and how we think we can profess solutions and move the nation forward. Now, that said, one of the things I think we should immediately do at the College of Engineering is to reignite our industrial presentations and industrial seminars, because that is one way to get to understand the changes that are happening in the industry. And the industry in technology is one that is changing so fast that even the training that we would have for our students over 4 years, a lot would have changed over the course of 4 years. And therefore, knowing what new skill sets are required for the industry, I think is very important for us. And one of the things that we can do immediately, following these kind of industrial presentations and identifying these skill sets, as have been mentioned by Madam Patricia, is to begin to create a certain hub or platform where we can plug some of those skills gaps. Because we do understand that the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow are ones that require specific skill sets rather than general degrees. The general degrees may have application in general industries in the country, but I mean the fast-changing nature of the industry requires that we equip students with these specific skill sets, some of which she has mentioned, cybersecurity, data science, and the like of them. And so we'll be engaging with our partners to do this, i.e. interfacing with our partners to set up the necessary structures that allow them, that allows us to be able to impart this specific skill set. And I think one theme that has run through all the presentation by our August panelists is the fact that we should be problem solvers. I think that we probably doing what we can, but we can do more. And I think that to the extent that we can interface more with the society and with the industry, then those problems will become very visible to us and we'll begin to find ways of addressing some of those problems. And one of the things that I think we can do is there are some low-hanging fruits that we can begin to tap. For example, for the society to feel more the impact of KNUST, the expertise that we have, for example, in engineering and in technology, are things that we can leverage to extend helping hands to societies and communities around us. There are villages which don't have electricity and children don't have lights to study. The Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, for example, can assemble solar lights, low-cost solar lights, and KNUST can give these to these communities as part of their support to enhancing education in the country and creating direct impact in the society. So interfacing with the society and knowing some of these challenges and finding innovative ways of addressing them is something that I think we can do more on and would try to do as much as possible. So these are my few remarks, and I think that as we engage further, we'll be able to do more on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, let me take this opportunity to thank the university management, the planning committee for this excellent stakeholders engagement on these issues. I just want to start from Excellency Ambassador Boating on the issue of the students are a reflection of the faculty. I think we are happy to hear that the notion out there is changing. So for us, the reorientation or the awareness creation when it comes to the faculty impacting on the students, not just the knowledge, but the interactions, the engagement, and then the outcome of that. For instance, what you experience. We've taken cognizance of that and we are working on that. So, for instance, we were able to have a workshop for the college board for the members to appreciate a typical example of what you indicated. I had a meeting in Accra where we're discussing some of these issues concerning unemployment, graduate unemployment. And one of them said, Prof, you from College of Health and you don't have a problem. Doctors, pharmacists, they are easily employed. I said, have you seen my people picketing, the nurses and the other health professionals picketing at the Jubilee House, requesting the government for them to be employed? It means that the old days where you finish and then really your job is available, all the attachments, juicy attachments are gone. So for me, and a typical, for us, we've been able to do that. The only thing is that as you are saying, we intend to do more of a biannual because it's a bit costly for us to engage industry players to help us. It was more, let me say that the moderator happens to be the main facilitator. And based on the engagement, it was more of the interaction that we had, the issues that we identified, and the solution came from us. They just facilitated everything. And for me, it's yielding results. And out of that, we've been able to, with the permission of the Vice Chancellor, we've been able to establish or form the College Advisory Board, made up of basically industry players. And our first meeting, based on the interaction that we had, discussing the terms of reference, and then I realized that I needed my deans to be in attendance. So our next meeting, I invited them because when you engage them, the sort of responses that they give are these people are difficult, they want us to do this. And then it was more finding solutions to the challenges that we are having and how we can get the support that we need for them. So the main issue that came up was the issue of rebranding of the faculty. The Vice Chancellor is working about it. Because if you're able to rebrand the faculty, then the industry can easily identify them. And now, you know, in the university, it's just publish or perish. So we use the traditional ways. You publish and then you get your promotion. Now, we are changing the narrative. We just want to also use the social media. Because that is where the platforms are easily available. People or the industry or those who are interested in getting the experts. And then also we getting the support. We can easily use that avenue. So, for instance, we've been able to form publication committee made up of staff and then external persons. Those who are experienced in the social media environment. And they are helping us to market our research that we do. So that easily somebody, as I said, the industry players can easily identify what we've been doing and what we can offer. The next issue has to do with the internship placement. For my college, internship placement is key because everything has to do with hands-on. We are having challenges because of the numbers, as my colleague said. What we are trying to do, as he indicated, is to also invite some of them. the experienced hands to have interaction with the students. So it's not purely academic. This is also in addition to the soft skills that they have to develop. And I like what you said. Now it's more attitude. It's not based on knowledge. It's more attitude. So we are trying to create awareness among the students that you may be a first-class graduate, but your attitude may not let you get to where you are supposed to be. So that is the request that we want to make, although we are trying on our own through the support of the university management to get the database of alumni so that it will help us to identify our alumni who can help us in terms of the internship aspect of our training. So if, based on your engagement, if you can also help us, because we've sent out requests through the social media and all the various platforms for us to get the data. Just that the attitude, the sort of experience that they had before leaving the university, some of them is affecting their responses. But we believe with time, for instance, you being here will even motivate others for them to be part so that they can help us. Again, in terms of the partnership with industry, what we intend with through, for instance, our last meeting that we had with the advisory board, one of the successful, let me say, entrepreneurs who is a member of the board indicated that always we write for support. We want this equipment, can we get this? They said, no, they are not interested in that. What have you done? And you want something that will complement what you want to do. And it was remarkable. And after our meetings, one of the deans said, okay, now we've identified the issue. Always we just write, we need this equipment. But now we are going to tell them that this is what we've done. We need this. Maybe the equipment may not be in use now or maybe outmoded, but it may help us in whatever we've been doing. Then the other issue that the problem that we've been having is when we interact with the industry, the issue of IP. Because recently, the Vice Chancellor is aware, we had interaction with some of the industry in terms of pharmacy. So after we finish with this, it will be all over the place. Everybody will be producing it. That is a challenge. The IP, at the end of the day, they are prepared to collaborate with us. But fortunately for us, now we have the IP office in the university. So we are hoping to take advantage of that. And I also urge my colleagues, now that's what they tell us, that we shouldn't rush to publish, especially research output that may lead to something innovative or you can commercialize it. There's a need for us to do some IP or patent some of the products before we can publish. Then, with the issue of the soft skills, we are doing our best. Just that we hope that when we invite some of you, we may not be able to pay the necessary honorarium that some of you may want. But if you can help us in terms of the soft skills, for instance, if you have my third or final year students, you interacting with them in terms of attitude, then the results that we are going to get will be so great. So that is but we are doing it for now. What we've realized is that some of these issues, when you capture them in the curriculum, it's more of the usual thing, chew, pour, and pass. We want the industry players to come and interact. They will ask questions, non-examinable. Just that it's compulsory that you have to be part of the workshop or the training that we normally put up for them. Now, the last thing that maybe I just want to make reference to has to do with the business models. During our tour of the exhibitions, I had interaction with one of you. And let me say that the moderator is a pharmacist. What he's doing now is different. Our president of the chamber is also a pharmacist. I can say that he was my mate. And the issue of diversification is very key. That is why it's key that we are all here. They all completed here and qualify as pharmacists, but they are doing something different apart from their professional practice. So what I will urge my colleagues, is that, like what one of them said, we have to work together. Because the issue is, now we've been told to identify national issues of focus. So we have to work together, and then we bring on board the experiences and the knowledge together with the industry. So if we can also have dialogue like this among ourselves and then with the industry, I think it's going to help. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think these have been very good and productive discussions. I am confident that some of the commitments we've made will definitely follow through. So it will be a beautiful time to wrap it all up. And to wrap it up, I'll have to say that we're having this discussion on the basis of the 70th anniversary and the celebrations associated with them. So we'll take the closing remarks from our invited guests, and I have a special question attached to your closing remarks. What are the special activities of the anniversary that you are so keenly looking forward to participating, and why? So we'll start. Because it won't end here. We are in a 1-year-long anniversary, and this wouldn't be the last time we want to see you. So your closing remarks, and where else would we find you?
I'll have to get the list of activities and choose.
Okay, I'll do a quick one for you. So we have the fun games coming up. We have the Tech Jam. Everybody knows that we are the fun-loving, yet very studious university in the country. So we are going to have a jam with a night of laughter. We are going to have the Captains of Industry soiree. So that is for the bourgeoisie like yourselves, and then the rest of us will come and mingle. So the Captain of Industry soiree. It will be coupled with the launch of the Endowment Fund, the Alumini Endowment Fund. So that is a big evening. So that one, I think, is compulsory. The big guys will have to be there. And at the end of the year, October, we'll have the homecoming. We are all coming back here for a rollicking weekend of real tech life. So you choose.
Now that makes it very difficult to choose. They all sound very interesting.
Then list.
So we'll get the dates and show up.
Okay.
Yeah. I interacted with a young boy recently. He was studying finance and business at the university. Auntie, can you help with internship? So I asked him, where exactly do you want me to help place you? Will it be with the banks? Do you want to go with the KPMGs in consulting? And he said, I don't know. So he's in the program, but he doesn't even understand which aspect of it he wants to play in. And as we've gone through this discussion, all that runs through my mind is just opportunity. Opportunity to help the young ones. So if somebody is in first year, second, third, in either Department of Physics, College of Engineering, Electrical, where is he going? Does he understand what he wants to do? And to the point you made, if we can't take 1,000 students to industry, then I guess it's time for us to come to you. So I'm going to look for the unique roles in telecom, and then we will have, it can be a simple online session where the real human beings, they talk to you about the things they do. They are your age mates. Yesterday we were in my exco, and we are the Generation Z, and they were there to talk to us about metaverse, the future of Facebook. And these guys had this virtual environment, and they were in it and talking to us about, and I'm like, okay. So when you meet them, it will help you to shape your mind, even from first year, second, third year, about the opportunities in all the areas I have mentioned, and then you can decide which parts of the career you want to progress in our industry. So that's my commitment. But thank you for inviting us. This has been very insightful and a time well spent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Yes, His Excellency, your closing remarks and
Okay.
which activities you'll be involved in. Just to chip in, during the homecoming as well, we are going to have the launch of the anniversary commemorative book. So a beautiful book is being put together to commemorate the 70 years, and there'll be the launch during the homecoming. So lots of good stuff coming up.
Okay, thank you very much. First, I would like to thank the Vice Chancellor and her leadership team at the university for organizing this event and also for inviting me. Thank you very much. Personally, what I would like to do is to commit to helping with the dialogue series.
Okay, great.
Presently, I sit as the Director General of State Interest and Governance Authority. We have over 200 entities that report to me. So I do have some leverage with some of the CEOs. So if something can be fashioned out, I would talk to them and request that they also share their knowledge and expertise. It's not going to cost the university anything. I mean, we would make sure that we pay our way to come here, and also we take up the cost. If there are others who cannot afford it, I would sponsor, or I'll let my company sponsor.
Great.
That's my commitment.
Great. That deserves a good round of applause. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Now, on the 70th anniversary, I have a media company. Arguably, we like to think that we're one of the best or the best in the country when it comes to events, and we are happy to assist in any way possible and get you a good, tell us the artists you want, and we'll facilitate. That's also our commitment.
Great. Thank you very much, His Excellency. Yes, Dan.
I want to ask a question. You talked about the Endowment Fund. I don't know if my recollection is bad, but I remember there was a time something like that was started.
Yeah.
Did it work, or is this a new one, or what happened to the old one?
So what we are going to launch now is Alumini Endowment Fund. So the focus is not just the University Endowment Fund, but we are trying to organize and mobilize the alumni to actually give back to the university. And we believe that if we are able to mobilize ourselves well as alumni, as you speak about it, the network, there's a lot of value in there, and we can really mobilize something substantive to support the university on a continuous basis. So this is the KNUST Alumni Endowment Fund. So it's for you and I.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm always excited to be here. And I thank the Vice Chancellor, Prof. Manfo, and everyone for inviting me. I think it's the joy of it that this time I decided to come with my wife. And then the deputy CEO of my company, who is also here, Juliana Santidati. For us, we've been champions of youth development activities across Africa. Strong networks with African Union, NEPAD, USAID, and most of the international development organizations. These days, we are also fortunate to have strong networks with development finance institutions. We have signed a 5-year MOU with National Service Scheme. And this year, we were to take 50 national service people. We've got 25. Next year, they are bringing us 200, and we might even take more. That should tell you that if it should come to the issue of internship, we are willing to take young people and train them. If it comes to national service, we will have our arrangement and see how best we will start something before the national service so that those that we start with can easily qualify for the scheme and the program that we have in place, and they come and do national service. Interestingly, we have been consultants to both the Ministry of Trade and Ghana Exim Bank on one district, one factory. And we've done monitoring and evaluation of over 70 companies in the country. And that has also given us a very strong network with industry. And it's not difficult at all for us to negotiate with them to take some students on internship. So we can also provide that avenue to the university. My last recommendation to the university is that the university will need champions. They are very important, champions. If we don't get champions for this course, by the time one provost leaves and another provost comes, there's a possibility of momentum either dying or diminishing. But if we can get champions who are assigned to foster PPP, irrespective of which government is in power, then these champions will be able to have strong relationship with industry, and this is going to work. We need to explore. I've been thinking through how we can have, or we can establish technology incubation center on campus so that we can nurture great ideas and turn them into businesses. That will generate a lot of money also for the university. If you have incubation centers that turn into businesses, it's one great avenue for resource mobilization. So please, we are there to support. Already I sent this to, we have a platform of about 15 people from KNUST Unity Hall. 5 of them are top UN people across the globe. And they are all KNUST. I think about 4 of them were social science students. But they all hold high UN positions. And I shared the pictures with them. Everyone is excited. So the idea of bringing the alumni together and making it strong is something that will excite a number of people. But then let us forget about the champions. For the events that are left, unfortunately, I don't know how to dance, so I might not participate in the jam. But as for the alumni homecoming and where we will launch the endowment fund, those ones, if you leave me out, I'll have issues with you.
Okay. We'll not leave you out.
So I'll come for those ones.
No issues.
Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Right.
I think with the events, I'm with you. Okay. Your choices are okay for me. Yes. So thank you very much for this opportunity. I think when I got the email and the invitation, I said, good, this is what we are all looking for. An opportunity to share our ideas and thoughts with the university. It's not enough for people to sit down and just criticize, but to see ways, because we always meet young graduates, we always employ people, and we know their issues. And I'm also very happy to learn about 2 things: the advisory council, which now involves industry, and the university IP office. Because I would never have thought about it that there is an IP office here. And this is very important. And if you want to improve the IP office, I can also get people who can help you to improve the IP office and what you want to do. Yeah. Coming to the issue of the numbers that Prof talked about, I had an interaction with the CEOs of our automobile companies that have started production in Ghana. And I asked them, where do you get your engineers from? And one guy said, from the technical universities. I didn't really go deeper. But what I want to say is, if you have 7 to 8 car companies coming into the country, KNUST should be somewhere in this mix. And it's one space that we have to watch, especially with the numbers that we are churning out. The second one was also a big shock to me, that before this World Cup qualifier, we had issues with whether Ghana will play at home or will play outside. So I called one friend who works at FIFA, and I asked him, what is the problem? And he said, you don't have one good pitch in Ghana. Then I asked him, did you really go and investigate all the pitches. Can you tell me one pitch which was close to what you wanted? Guess what? He said Pajo Stadium.
Wow.
He said Pajo has the only pitch, the grass, that will be something close to what FIFA is expecting. But you cannot play a World Cup match there. So just imagine the number of pitches we have in the country. And if KNUST would translate what is on the Pajo pitch onto all the pitches, this is a huge, step for the university. So let's watch these spaces as we have numbers coming out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think it's been a very wonderful evening. We've all gotten some great nuggets to work with. Time is fast spent, so we'll bring it all to a close. Before we close, we shall invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rita Dixon, for some short remarks and a short ceremony.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. What a day we have had. What an evening we have had. The discussions, the contributions, very insightful. All the feedback have been very deep. And I'd like to, on behalf of management, 70th Anniversary Planning Committee, staff, students, and of course, the entire university community, say thank you to all of you, but particularly our captains of industry. I think you will help me in doing it for them. We have taken them the whole day. These are very, very busy people. We are so grateful to you for your time, and as for how rich this experience has been, I think I can't put words on them. Thank you so much. Indeed, a lot has been said, but one of them that excites me the most is the opportunity for us to get our industrial partners to interact with our students. For me, that is one of the greatest things I'm taking out of here. We've been doing it here and there, but for us to have our alumni who are captains of industry, and for His Excellency to even go ahead and say, even with the budget that goes with it, I'm willing to sponsor. Did you say that, Your Excellency? Yes, you did. Would you want to clap for him? So I'm just looking at, and quickly I was thinking, let's have a smart theme for this kind of conversation. So I just thought and I said, what of today's industrial captains meets tomorrow's? And that can be a caption for the dialogue. And then the students are here and they are listening online, they are listening and they are asking all the questions so that they can be where you are when they also finish with their training. We are very grateful to you for having agreed to do this. Indeed, time is fast spent, so I will try and keep it very short and simple. And just to say thank you. All the issues that you have raised, indeed, we have agreed 70 years ago that our position as a university is that we are here to solve problems. And that is what keeps us awake at night as an institution. And as I said in my intro, we are unable to do this all by ourselves. We need the partnership from industry to be able to achieve that. And of course, these problems are not just KNUST problems, they are national problems. And they are very dear to our hearts. And we say that we will go through research and find solutions to all these myriad of problems that our society faces. And we thank you that in doing that, we are not on our own. All the suggestions we have taken on board, and we assure you that we will continue to work together with you to achieve them. Indeed, we realize that we need to be able to commercialize the research outcomes that we are able to unearth in the university. And I'm happy that we had the opportunity to look at all that the colleges are working on. As I said in the morning, this is just a tip of the iceberg. And we're challenging industry to continue to come and see what KNUST is doing. And we will also bring it to your doorstep so that together we can solve the problems of Ghana and society. Soft skills are very key. We have taken note of them. We will continue to work on them. We will continue to work on telling our stories and be out there so that always we can make the needed impact. Of course, we agree. Exposure for our students, the culture of networking. Of course, we have talked about bringing industry to classroom and classroom to industry. Generous with our research themes, we will continue to share them. I cannot summarize all that we have talked about, but just to say that this has been very, very insightful. And once again, we are very grateful to you, our industrial partners. Please do not get tired of us because we will continue to knock on your doors. We know that for some of you, it was even at such a very short notice. But I recall that, I don't want to mention names, but they know. Pardon us. Next time we'll start from the beginning of the year so you can put us into your calendars. But just to say, we really do appreciate you, and also to thank the captains of KNUST, the Provost, and all the staff of KNUST working very hard to get us where we are. Aiko to all of you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very quickly, I would crave the indulgence of our industrial captains, if you don't mind. I'll start with Lady Patricia. If you come, there's something small that we want to give to you, and we'll follow in the order you are seated, please. All right. Just so she knows we are not giving her a bomb. We have to open it. Okay. So, Patricia, KNUST, your university, is situated in the land of the Golden Stool, the Ashanti Kingdom, and your main gate, when you drove through, you went under the stool. So this is what your university is giving you in recognition of your contribution to your dear university. Thank you very much. Just for the photos. Yes. So again, the same remarks will hold. And thank you once again. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. All right. Mr. Akwe, thank you very much. So thank you very much for coming. Thank Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you too. All right. Anita, thank you very much. Can I go and sit down? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam VC. Over
Dr.
to you,
Adai,
Anita.
do you have any comments? Would you want to do your
No,
own vote of
I think that
thanks?
we've captured all the good points already, so we'll hand over to you, Anita, for the
Thank you
closing.
so much. A round of applause for our moderator for the evening, Dr. Herman Zadai. It's been so educative. We really, really appreciate you. Please don't forget, we're going to continue with the exhibition tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to invite, or we have invited, major senior high schools all around the country, and they're going to be here from the Bron region. We're having from the Central region, from the Greater Accra region, from the Eastern region, and of course, from home, Ashanti region. We're inviting about close to 15 schools. They're going to be here to enjoy the exhibitions from all the colleges. So please, colleges, get ready. They're also going to tour the university. It's going to be a full KNUST experience. We are mentoring them. We're showing them what KNUST is all about to inspire them to pursue courses available at KNUST. So please get ready for them tomorrow. When we are done as well, we're going to upstairs foyer for our cocktails session. And please take note, it's an opportunity to network as well. So thank you very much. I'm going to call Reverend Father to give us a final. Oh, okay. I think in his stead. Thank you so much. A round of applause.
Shall we please rise and pray? Almighty and ever-living God, we continue to give you praise and thanks because you are always worthy of them. We started this day in your name, right from the morning. By your grace, you've given us the strength and the ability to stand and to witness this program until now. We give you all the glory and the praise even for this evening session, a time of interaction, of how we can make practical the experiences we have here as academics and what our industry partners also have to share. We thank you for all the brilliant ideas that have been shared today. We pray asking that by the power of your Spirit, may you guide and direct us so that even as we are in a new age and we are looking for a renewed focus, this discussion will inform how we move on as a university so that we'll be more profitable to society to bring glory and honor to your name. Please replenish all our energies which have been spent today and provide us with your protection and guidance as we move out from here. Continue to bless each and every facilitator of this program. Continue to bless our leadership of this university, the planning committee, and everyone who has played any role. Bless us and bless our nation, Ghana. Thank you for hearing our prayers in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you. Please.
Thank you so much. Well, we'd like to say thank you so much. We'll take some photographs before we head off for the cocktail. And please, if you indulge us, let's take the photograph before you leave the auditorium. So we are going to take some photo ops with the Vice Chancellor, with the Registrar, the Pro-Vice Chancellor is here as well, with our Captains of Industry, our Provost. Yes. So we'll take the first picture with the Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, the Registrar, with our Captains of Industry and our Provost. Please be on standby. If you're a dean and you're here, we'll take the next photo with the deans who are available. So please, let's take the first one with our Captains of Industry, with the Vice Chancellor, the Pro-Vice Chancellor, with the Registrar, and our Provost. That's the first photographs we are taking. And the second one will be with the dean. So if you're a dean or you're a director, you're here, you can join us as well for the second one, for the second photograph. right, so can we have deans who are available to join? Can we have our captains of industry with our, yes, with the vice chancellor, with the pro-vice chancellor registrar? Do we have any deans? Yeah. Thank you very much. I think you've done enough. It's been a long day. We really appreciate you. You've been on your feet since morning, and we appreciate you. And to all our volunteers who are manning the various booths of the various colleges, we'd like to say Ayuko to you. Day 1 down, day 2 to go. We're looking forward to another exciting day tomorrow. So we really, really appreciate you. Come back with lots of smiles for us.